So how am I going to build this marketing strategy? Where am I going to start? How long is it going to take? Well, first let's start with the strategy. That's where you need to start. What is a marketing strategy? Here's an example. We will have 200 to 300 attendees. That's our goal. It's a pretty broad range. You might have a tighter one. Registered in the next 4 months. That's when they're going to get there. And we're going to use they're going to use 6 new products in their jobs by the end of the year. That's the dollar value of the attendee. I want them using those 6 new products by the end of the year. Now, how am I going to get those 200 to 300 attendees there? And how am I going to engage them that they're going to use those products? That's the foundation of my marketing. So what's a tactic? I think you guys probably have caught on by now, but there are a lot of tactics out there. There are QR codes and Facebook and YouTube and Dig and Twitter. There are email. There are e-signatures. I just wrote my last blog on that. Don't forget the things like the e-signatures that you're sending out emails all day long. Put your event in your email. Okay? Print ads, LinkedIn discussion groups, LinkedIn ads, LinkedIn status lines. It just depends on your event. So here are the steps to determining a tactical plan. We talked about the goals, who your audience is, where they are, how much they're worth, when you're going to have them there. Getting to know your audience, where are they getting their information. The next thing you need to do is develop your content and agenda, and I would think that that would be straightforward, but apparently it's not. A lot of people are sending out marketing without actually knowing who their speakers are or what their content's going to be. Now, what was the top reason for having an event? Education, right? Well, if you want the marketing to work, you need to tell them what they're getting, you need to tell them what they're going to see, you need to know what your agenda and your speakers are going to be talking about. That's fodder for your marketing, okay? And then based on those 1, 2, and 3, then you're going to figure out where you're going to reach them and how often you're going to reach them. And that is highly variable. There's basic rules of thumb. Don't overwhelm them. Don't send them 2 emails every week. Probably in some cases, don't send them an email every week. You might be doing good to send them an email every 2 weeks. You might want to alternate it. Okay? You know what your budget is. You know how best to reach them. You know what's working because you're measuring it. So think about your frequency. And then look at how it's working. It's not an exact science if you're starting from scratch. So you're going to have to measure this as you're going and adjust accordingly. So what are you going to populate it with? Well, we talked about content and how important it is. Testimonials are huge. I'm going to ask the Atlanta audience here, how many of you use testimonials either on your event website or in your emails or your communications to drive awareness and participation? Okay, we've got a handful here, okay? I really encourage the rest of you to think about it because testimonials are far more compelling to potential attendees than anything you could say. Now, here's the advanced program, okay, with testimonials. Don't wait for the testimonials. Write them for them. And then ask them if they would mind endorsing it, okay? Not comfortable with that? Okay, how about you ask an attendee to talk about a particular topic you want a testimonial on. Tell me how you felt about the networking. Did it work for you? Don't be shy about playing editor. We've got a few editors in the room. So don't be shy about playing editor and condense it. Let them approve it. But if you want something that's high impact, you might need to do a little editing, okay? But the testimonials are very, very powerful. So are frequently asked questions. So are, why should anyone attend this event? Tell me, help me. Don't just help me as an attendee know why I should attend this event. Help me tell my boss why I should attend this event, okay? And who should attend? Am I the right attendee? I'm not sure. And I might be looking at a couple of other events that are competing with your event, and if you name me, you describe me as an attendee to a T, I'm probably going to attend your event more than I'm going to attend those other competing events. Of course, have a draw. You know, people tend to lean on speakers or location for a draw. Recognition is a draw. Giveaways are a draw. But if you've got those draws, don't just stop with the draw. Get the draw involved. Plan Your Meetings also does a great job of including speakers in the social media. Have a speaker record a video if you can work it into the contract. Okay? Have them record a personal message that shows up on your website, inviting attendees to come. Build partnerships. Now, this does not apply to every single event, but if you're leveraging your sponsors and your vendors and you're giving them things that they can push out to other folks and invite them, if that's appropriate for your event, my goodness, do it. If partnering with a magazine or a publication or an association, if that makes sense for you, do it. But don't try to do it all yourself if you don't have to. And try various media. I mean, the trial and error is a part of the marketing. If you're not getting the performance that you want, try something different. And don't be afraid to do it. But if you're going to do it, measure it and see how it's working, because you don't want to keep sinking money and dollars into something that isn't working. And you need to be measuring your other tactics as well. So let's say you did all that. You've got your testimonials, you've got your videos, you know exactly what media you're going to use, you've got it all set up, and gosh darn it, it's still not performing the way I want it to. So now what? It happens. 4 things. They're very simple. Let's start with wrong expectations. A lot of people make some very foundational assumptions, but they're not basing it on anything. I'm going to send an email. Why isn't it working? Well, how did you decide to send email? Well, everybody's got a computer. Yeah, okay. So what you can do if it's not performing correctly is you can look at similar events and see what they're doing. Now, that's a little bit of a spy versus spy kind of thing, you know. What's your event doing, right? But you can get the information. You can find out what other events are doing because you can talk to the attendees from the other events. Anecdotal is fine. Let's see how they're doing. Let's see how many attendees they're getting, and let's see what they're pushing out, what kind of marketing they're pushing out. See if those expectations are really in alignment with reality or not. Change your message. We talked a little bit about how to measure if a message is working or not. Look at your registration. See if your message is clicking with your attendees. Try some other media. And if you're doing too many emails, you're going to turn people off and they're going to tune you out. If you're not sending enough, you're not going to be reaching them. And it's really not sending enough. It's not sending enough variety. Because it's not just send a flurry of emails. I can't tell you how many events just send a flurry of emails. And the ones that do the variety are the ones that get people's attention. So I'm going to walk you through 3 prototype examples. Now, these prototypes, aren't they beautiful? They're almost as beautiful as you guys. Are not actual people. However, these are actual events that are that I worked on in the last 3 years. That I worked on in the last year. And the first one, I think they're pretty good representations. The first one is a customer conference. So it is absolutely discretionary. And they're looking to up their attendance 30%. That is substantial. And they had 2 people on the team and about $8,000 of marketing dollars to spend. The second one is a mandatory franchise conference. They're struggling with engagement. They got people there. That's not the problem. They're not doing what they want them to do. They're not, they've got 350 attendees, and the customer service, the performance, the training, it's all down. It's not working. The event's not working, but they don't have another venue to get that information to the franchisees. And the third one's a startup. Has no idea how many attendees they can get, how they're going to build awareness, and he only has 3 months to do it. Okay, so let's see how they did. First contestant. Our customer conference, you can certainly read, but they had a population of 2,500 attendees, and only 600 were coming. They won about 833, and they were using an event website. They had a link on their company website. They were sending email announcements and personal invitations from the sales team. Remember that last one. Competes with 7 other industry conferences. That's a pretty intense population that they're competing with. And they hold their conference in Vegas annually, and they get fantastic feedback from their attendees. Okay. So here's what Elena did. Performed a sample population survey. Now, not just on attendees, on non-attendees. Okay. Why aren't you all coming? Because your attendees will never tell you why the non-attendees aren't coming. Because they're not the non-attendees. They're there. They love it, right? So she asked about awareness, location, content, format, business challenges, and reasons for attending and obstacles to attending. And here's what they found out. Remember those personal phone calls from the sales team? Most non-attendees were unaware of the conference. 75% of non-attendees didn't know it was going on. Who do you think wasn't making their phone calls? Or they couldn't get their boss's approval to attend a conference in Las Vegas due to travel expense. It was not a, oh my gosh, you're going to Vegas. It was the flights and the hotels were expensive. All right. Attendees liked networking, but they didn't like the kind of networking they were getting. They wanted to network with their peers, and their peers were scattered throughout the population, and they wanted to get with their people. And attendees did not want to focus on the sales message. Remember, this is a customer conference, sell, 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 right? They wanted product training. They wanted education. So here's what they did. They built an incentive contest to encourage the sales team to actually call their customers. The event website was redesigned to say, hey, look, we're changing our networking, we're changing how we're educating you. The event website included testimonials, and the location the following year, it was too late in this iteration, but the following year it was moved to Dallas, and the attendance went up from 600 approximately to approximately 900 in the first year. They didn't even move the event, and it went up, okay? So let's look at the next one. Okay. The attendance at a franchise conference is guaranteed. For the franchise system, though, they've got to be doing the marketing, they've got to be doing the training, they've got to be doing the customer service. You guys probably understand how this operates, okay? They weren't doing it. And the conference was their format. So what she began was a 4-month pre-event marketing campaign. Now, it was an integrated campaign. Each piece focused on a specific content. What they were doing was they were getting people pre-engaged, not just pre-marketed, pre-engaged for what they were going to be learning when they got there. They received an email link to a personal video invitation from the president. please come. I've got special stuff for you, right? And they also developed a speech writing and speech coaching for their internal presenters because the internal presenters were struggling, okay? They were not professionals. And she also put into place an ROI analysis plan to measure the results and see how they did. Read that first line. 80% improvement in retention of information and learning. That's how important your executive presentations are. All right? The intention to act on the information after the meeting improved 65%. And the customer service scores, this is months later, in the stores, improved 17%, and the staff training increased 50% over the next 6 months. All right? That's event marketing. All right? That's the engagement part of it. And here's our last one. These guys are doing they're holding an educational executive C-level summit as a way to build business. They have a small, unclean, messy database, a first-time event, no awareness, very little budget, and apparently the good news is there's no other meeting filling that niche. All right? So what he did, I love this, shared the billing on the presentation, on the summit, didn't try to get all the glory, partnered with top industry experts and brought them in and pushed out content telling folks that those presenters were there. And they included those presenters in their marketing. There was an urgency message. He only had 3 months, remember. Talked about limited space. And there were testimonials about the speakers, because this is a first-time event. You can't lie and say what a fabulous event it was when there hasn't been one. So they talked about the speakers and how fabulous they were. And they used LinkedIn discussion groups to really seed the message about the event and drive traffic. And they partnered with industry association to get educational credits for the event. Now, they didn't quite make their numbers. However, every presenter got business out of the summit. They considered that a win, and they're moving on to the next one, and they've already now got the traction and the awareness. They have a target of 50. They believe it's going to actually probably be double that because of the awareness traction that they got. So those are some case studies with some social media involved in them, but you see how the fundamentals really apply.